All right there. Well, good afternoon. 2:31 along with Nathan Scott. I'm Tom Brannon. Thank you for joining us on THV 11 Plus. Got to break down the next and the latest aspects of our severe weather for today here in Arkansas. It seems like we're on a stretch of days, Nathan, where we've had at least some type of watch, severe thunderstorm, tornado watch, going back a whole week. I would like
It's been busy, yeah.
I would like for this to be it for a while. I'm sure you agree.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you at home would also agree with us that it's time to put spring to bed. Let's move on to summer and flip-flops and 90-degree temperatures and sunburns. I would much rather, I would appreciate that for sure. Weather impact alert, meaning that we've got an enhanced risk or above for severe weather in Arkansas in the central part of the state. Part of Little Rock, Pulaski County is under that. But really the big bullseye right now appears to be in northwest Arkansas, north central Arkansas for the likelihood of strong to severe thunderstorms this afternoon and this evening.
Yeah, Tom, it looks like most central Arkansas may not see any severe weather through the daylight hours, but it's going to vary county by county. So Pulaski County may be quiet, but you get into Yell County and Pope County going to 6, 7, 8 o'clock. The weather could change rapidly. We're looking at the newest information, and some information is showing the potential there could be a storm that goes rogue and becomes strong to severe, and we do have the environment that is favorable for everything on the table. Large hail, very large hail in some cases, damaging wind gusts, tornadoes, and there could be a strong tornado out there today.
So we're going to walk you through what we see and analyze things for you. But let me just say first off that there is a tornado watch that's already in effect till 7 o'clock tonight that covers up those northwest Arkansas counties, and there will more than likely be an extension of this maybe before 7 o'clock. Just depends on when these storms fire up here. System's going to slowly move across the region tonight. So I anticipate we'll at least get a tornado watch that will cover the western half of the state, if not the Little Rock area, as we proceed through time. But let's start with radar and show you what's going on. And storms have been really coming together to our west. Oklahoma got the radar turned on from Fort Smith, and in eastern Oklahoma, supercell thunderstorm coming together. Nathan noticed that developed rather quickly. The environment that we have is very explosive right now. So these severe thunderstorms will really begin to pop with the large hail. This is a severe thunderstorm right now, so some large hail, but may get a little bit more rotation to it. National Weather Service may pop on a warning, tornado warning. A lot of lightning with it as well as these storms intensify this afternoon. One way to tell how strong a storm is just look at the frequent lightning. So that is the beginnings of what could be a very long evening for the northwestern part of the state. The severe weather risk has gone up to moderate. That includes Harrison, Fayetteville, Fort Smith, and that's down to around the Mena area. So the moderate risk, we've got an enhanced risk that covers up Hot Springs, Russellville, Clinton, Batesville, Mountain Home, Little Rock, and most of Pulaski County is a slight risk. So looking at the thunderstorms developing tonight as they move from west to east, they're expected to weaken a little as they move into central Arkansas. But in terms of the hazards, they're all there. Severe weather hazards, including long-track tornadoes, strong long-track tornadoes in the Hatched area. And that extends into western and northwestern Arkansas. Hail up to tennis ball size. We had some big hail in Springdale yesterday. Nick Luttrell was up in that area of the world covering the Lady Razorback softball. Big hail there, another chance of big hail in that area, as well as damaging wind gusts of 60 plus up to 80 miles per hour. All the parameters are there.
All the parameters, lots of storm fuel.
Yeah. Will it happen?
So, well, we've seen that case
question,
before.
yeah.
You can have everything in place. You're like, look at this storm fuel. Look at this cape, and we got wind shear, and we got everything that is ready to make the cake, and the cake falls flat, which is not a bad thing.
No.
Severe weather's never a guarantee, but you never want to say it's not going to happen, because Mother Nature can throw curveballs, and any storm that can reach its maximum potential today could become quite nasty.
Right.
And like you said, it's primarily going to be for northwest Arkansas and Oklahoma. We got sunshine right now in Oklahoma. That's why that one cell is going wild into East Oklahoma, because it's just fueling off all that very warm and moist environment that storms love
Back to that.
and can become very strong. Lots of storm fuel means we've got powerful updrafts. And those powerful updrafts can pretty much maintain a hailstone for a long period of time. So as it goes up and down within the cloud, it continues to collect more and more layers, and that's why you get those really large hailstones that will probably be the case into East Oklahoma and Northwest Arkansas. We'll have to watch those storms, Tom, because those storms are initiating in Oklahoma. Yes, it's cloudy here, and that's good news because that can stabilize the atmosphere somewhat. But those storms are gathering in Oklahoma. They will merge into a line, and that line will progress its way from Oklahoma into Arkansas, going through the course of the evening into the overnight. It will be on a weakening trend as it approaches us here in central Arkansas, but we still have that threat of severe weather. By far, though, Tom, it is Northwest Arkansas, it is West Arkansas that really needs to be prepared for rapidly changing weather throughout the course of the rest of our Monday.
Man mentioned a moment ago that severe thunderstorm warnings were on that cell in Oklahoma, and it's now been tornado warned until 3:15. So that's where it may all begin and spread into the natural state a little bit later on tonight. The watch is till 7 o'clock. I'm going to take you back down to the risk of severe weather. Again, it's a pretty big risk for us today. Most of this action is going to move through later on tonight and shift to our east. But there's still a threat of strong to severe thunderstorms tomorrow, and most of it's late tonight, early tomorrow morning for the eastern part of the state. So as the storms weaken a bit, we still have the threat, and in terms of our hazards for Tuesday, and west to east, improving conditions throughout the day. There you go. It's going to be damaging wind, hail, and yeah, there's going to be a low-end tornado threat. The setup is this. We've got a very potent and powerful storm system over the plain states. We've got a jet stream that is very active, winds aloft, so out ahead of that front, and there's a dry line there if you were to extend just pushing up against where those storms are located in Oklahoma, and that's what's helping to initiate those storms there. Storm impacts here for central Arkansas later tonight, medium threat of damaging wind and large hail, low impacts for tornadoes and flooding. And one thing I want to mention is flash flooding is a possibility over the same area. So the rain is certainly going to be heavy at times and possibly train over the same areas.
So if you're watching us, I would say in Russellville, in Jasper, in Marshall, Danville, Mena, those areas and off to the west, that's where we're looking at the likelihood that the threat of severe weather is going to be much higher for you folks going throughout the day and into the evening. And everything, like I said, is a possibility. Hopefully it's just, heavy rain, some gusty winds, and that's about it. But we do have the parameters that are in place that we could see those discrete supercells, and those are the type of storms that can produce not only a tornado, but also a strong tornado. We've seen that time and time again throughout this year. It's really been Northeast Arkansas that has gotten the brunt of the worst weather in terms of tornadoes. We'll just have to see what happens going throughout the rest of today and see if Northwest Arkansas is going to be the target zone, or hopefully the storms will not be as discrete. When you have a group of storms that are competing for the same environment, your tornado risk goes down. So if you have a whole blob of showers and thunderstorms, yes, it can still be rough weather, but when you don't have those discrete cells, your tornado threat's going to be lower. And when you have a line of storms, your damaging wind threat is going to be higher. I think we'd rather deal with the damaging wind threat, even though you can still get some nasty straight line winds that can be just as capable of doing damage as a weak tornado per se. That's what we would rather take versus a strong tornado that's on the ground for a long period of time.
I mean, you're going back a week, and we've had some outbreaks this spring. We had an outbreak in the Midwest. St. Louis hit hard. The storms that luckily didn't become as intense for us. Well, in Missouri, it was awful for them going back into the first part of the weekend. And then we've had these complexes. And I would say this, that it's possible, once we get this out of the way, the northwest flow aloft gets active, we'll have more complexes. I'm not as concerned about those as I am about something like this because of the tornado aspect. Yeah, damaging wind threats enough, but northwest flow aloft, we typically see that May and June anyway. The everything's kind of going through that seasonal change, but we still have a little bit left of May. Severe weather season still very active, but when you get these strong storm systems and the upper level energy out of the plain states, thus you get the potential for some of these big tornadoes that could occur. Let's hope they stay away.
It's all about storm mode.
Yeah.
There's a difference between a line of storms versus a group of storms, cluster of storms versus discrete supercells. And the models are not going to be able to pinpoint everything exactly.
No.
The HER went, with violence this afternoon.
Yeah, okay.
Pretty much. We looked at the HER this morning, and that's a high resolution data set that we always look towards, because with high resolution, you're thinking you're going to get better information, but that's not necessarily the case, because when we look at the latest from 12Z, it was showing supercells breaking out across north central Arkansas. And looking at that, that would be a scary situation. But you look at the radar right now, that's not the case.
And nothing's going on, but the projection, I always say, well, it's a projection of what radar could look like based on the data that it has now. So we'll walk you through the HER and the graph. The graph is the other model that is a high-res model. 5 o'clock, maybe something going on in north central Arkansas, maybe. Oklahoma, we're looking for the line to congeal and come together. This is by 9 o'clock tonight. So what concerns me about this, of course, is that for central and eastern Arkansas, it becomes more of an overnight threat. And your fingers are crossed that the storms will weaken as they move into central and eastern Arkansas, but there's still a risk of severe weather. This is by midnight tonight, according to the HER, and it begins to break apart the storms late tonight, early tomorrow. Now, we get updates on this every few hours. Is this the right update? I went back. Is that the right one?
I don't think it is. I don't think
because
it's finished.
I thought it was, and I had latest on it. And let's take a look at it real quick.
Because the newest one was not
showing as much. Yeah. Okay, let's see.
Because the latest data from the high resolution rapid refresh model is starting to trickle in right now. So
it's on latest run. So I could not tell you.
Yeah, so maybe it's just a little delay there. But let's go to Storm Track 11 if that's possible, and we'll take a look at it with that. And
with the HER last night, I'll just add this, that it didn't show anything. The 0Z data that came through that I showed last night at 10:15 wasn't showing much at all happening. And then it went back to showing a lot. Now it's kind of pulling back. So the HER and the graph, they're going to be different, and they're going to vary over time. Okay, so we have this up now.
So this is the same weather model we're looking at, HER, and I'm going to compare the two different solutions just 1 second. But here is what it's showing now. So this is 4 o'clock, and then we get into 5 o'clock, and you don't see cells really popping. So hopefully this is the case, but then getting into 6, 7 o'clock, these cells that are starting to develop into the river valley, those are the ones we'll have to watch out for. The Pope County, Johnson County, also into Newton County, because if this is right, you see there's a little curvature there, and this is going to be in the environment of where these cells could go strong to severe. Advancing it throughout time, the cells continue to push their way in north central Arkansas. There's not a lot happening here in central Arkansas. This is 8 o'clock, this is 9 o'clock, then we get into 10 o'clock, then we see that line start to emerge into west Arkansas, and along that line and ahead of that line will be the potential of some gusty winds, maybe damaging winds, and also there could be a spin-up tornado within that line we'll also have to watch out for. That line does start to weaken as it makes its way into central Arkansas, but Tom, we're going to be here watching this even through the early morning hours if the severe weather potential is still there, just to keep a close eye on things. Now, let me go ahead and compare.
Okay. I was just going to mention that. So the linear mode, or the line of storm, becomes more linear in nature earlier rather than later. So that could work to our advantage. I'll let you go to another model over here. We've got plenty of models to look at here in the Weather Center.
Yeah, so this is what we were showing this morning.
Okay.
All those cells, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then this model updates every single hour, but it takes into account the surface observations, the weather observations, or upper air observations with the weather balloons for 12Z and also 0Z, which is 8 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock in the evening Central Daylight Time. So here is what it came up with this morning at 8 o'clock in the morning for the forecast time frame of 4 o'clock this afternoon. Now, then we go to 13Z. We lose those cells, and just advancing through the other model data, you can see it's gone with a downward trend in the coverage of storms for the 4 o'clock hour. So that 12Z data, that was scary, but obviously it looks like it was not right. Now, could it be delayed by 1 or 2 hours?
Could.
We'll just
maybe.
have to watch. We'll have to watch things very closely, and that's why we're here watching the radar every single minute, because things can change, and you see those showers start to pop up, and as long as those showers continue to intensify, then your concern continues to go up. Again, northwest Arkansas. Here in central Arkansas, Tom, we may not see much of anything until after sunset.
Yeah, and with that, the farther along in time, getting towards central Arkansas, keep your fingers crossed that it could die back. Now, this is the graph. We'll use it on occasion as well at night. Just pinpointing 3:30. You can see
Max
the storm.
one.
Yeah. Max 1, please. I'm sorry, guys. Max 1. And we'll get over there in just a moment. There you go. Thank you, Mr. Raj. This is the graph for 3:30 this afternoon, showing those storms in Oklahoma as we head through the afternoon hours. We begin to pick up a little activity in central Arkansas. And, if the graph were correct by 4:30, we could have a supercell somewhere in central Arkansas. It doesn't pick up what the HRRR was saying in north central Arkansas. Let's move you through time. 6 o'clock tonight, we get supercell possible over, Conway, Van Buren, Cleburne County area. But we have the line in northwest Arkansas at 6 o'clock tonight. Moving forward, I'm just going to take it even more. 7 o'clock, 8, we begin to see things break apart just a bit. The line maintains its strength towards central and southern Arkansas. This is after midnight, and looks like 2, 3 o'clock we'll finally begin to see it taper off a bit. But they're different. They're different in timing, different in placement, and different in mode, storm mode. So there's just a lot to look at, and at times we're only as good as the information that is given to us. And what made it frustrating this weekend is they weren't consistent.
Yeah.
They would show, case in point, Sunday morning. That complex that came in out of Oklahoma just kind of blew up out of nowhere.
It was
and traveled northwest to southeast.
One lone storm in central Oklahoma when I left and went to sleep, 2 o'clock in the morning, still didn't see anything of concern. And then another storm popped up in advance of it, and just the environment was favorable that they merged and then developed that bow echo that quickly raced its way across the state. I mean, that thing had the jetpack on for the most part.
The line was moving 70 miles an hour from northwest to southeast, so it had some forward momentum behind it. It's almost as if in some regards, you're afraid to go to sleep because this week has been tough, because there have been instances where, looking at other data, that you've got plenty of cape still around, so you know that if something can get going, it may feed into that energy and take off. Case in point, this is what happened on Sunday. But sometimes the models pick up on that, and sometimes they don't.
Yeah, well, we've seen them do an excellent job with forecasting certain events, and other times they over-forecast, just like the hail potential. Everything was there, but we did not get that baseball-size hail, fortunately.
Yeah.
It was primarily just quarter-size hail. The biggest hailstone with that event, what was it, Friday, was in northeast Arkansas, northeast Arkansas. And we were lucky, but it's like everything's there. You're looking at not just the two models, there's so much weather information, and as meteorologists, we're trying to evaluate everything and see if there's a trend. If there's a trend, we're going to go with the trend. If there's no trend, then it's like, which one's right? Which one has been more consistent over the past few runs? So it's a lot of evaluating, analyzing, and it's just not like, hey, we're just going with exactly what the National Weather Service says.
And it's fluid.
It is.
It's fluid. last night, hanging around here, that cell in northwest Arkansas that dumped baseball-sized hail up in northwest Arkansas, as it moved into the Ozarks, it did weaken. It traveled along a warm front. The warm front was slowly lifting to the north. But there was activity developing along the front, also lifting from southwest to northeast. The cell was going from northwest to southeast and really helped to inspire more activity over north central Arkansas. Outflow boundary moved through last night. Cells developed behind the outflow boundary. The models didn't pick up on that.
And there's no way they can pick up on that because the model grid is just only so much that it can detect, okay, here's the outflow boundary. Here's where a storm merge is going to happen. All that is such a small scale environment in the meteorology world, but it can make huge impacts down the road.
Yeah. It can frustrate you. Speaking of hail, let's go over the hail risk. What could happen this afternoon with the hail risk, Nathan? And there's the potential for some big hail out there later on tonight.
We look at this graphic, Tom. Lots of pretty colors. I think it's pretty colors anyway. The blues, the purples,
I like
the
that
oranges.
purple. Yeah.
They have a specific meaning to them. And basically, what you're looking at is the environment that is favorable for hail to occur if a storm develops. And we have radar, future radar, depicted on there as well. So when we take a look at, say, the cell around Stuttgart, northeast of Stuttgart, if that does verify, then most likely that cell will produce hail if it reaches its maximum capability. Meanwhile, where you see the purple, we've got the division line from hail possible, which is pretty much 1 inch diameter or smaller, but the purple is when you jump to 2 inch or greater diameter size hail, if any storms develop in that environment. And there's a trend. It's primarily West Arkansas and into East Oklahoma where those storms are bubbling up, and that will have the greatest threat of producing some large to very large size hail if these storms can really take off. And that certainly is a possibility, Tom, because we have all that juice, all that storm fuel in place.
You get toward the latter part of the night. Of course, you're going to see it come down just a bit, but you still got that big hail potential in northeast Arkansas, 11 o'clock. Hail possible for central Arkansas, so the southern end of that line, if this forecast model verifies, and it probably won't, but it gives us an idea that the line is going to be strong in northwest and western Arkansas. The storms weaken a bit as we head toward midnight and a little bit thereafter, and the hail risk does come down heading into Tuesday morning. Now, you see the purple return in northwest Arkansas. During the day tomorrow, the actual cool front still has to move through, and that might inspire a few more storms, and there could be some hail, but it quickly winds down toward the noon, 1 o'clock hour tomorrow afternoon for the western half of the state. So hail is a possibility. And oh, by the way, look, Nathan, it's your favorite chart, the hail size chart in comparison.
Yeah.
I mentioned last night streaming that if you do get hail, first of all, we don't want you to go out in your yard during the hailstorm and pick up hailstones and get hit in the head and get hurt. Wait till the storm's passed, but compare it. Put something on the ground like a quarter or a golf ball or a ping pong ball or something and compare the hail size. That really helps us. But when you talk about severe weather in terms of the criteria, it's 58 plus mile per hour winds and or 1 inch, which is quarter-sized hail. But when you're getting up to tennis ball, 2.5 inch hail, and baseball, and there was even a possibility that storms could produce 4 inch hail, possibility. If that verifies, that's huge. That's damaging property. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw what happened in northwest Arkansas on Scott Covert's page, but that hail shredded the siding on homes.
Yeah. I did see that picture. It's incredible, and it covered the ground.
Yeah.
Nick, covering the game, called his parents, and his parents sent him this video, and it ranged from golf ball sized and under where they live, but it covered the ground. There was a couple of inches of hail on the ground, so that was a hailstorm.
Yes, definitely was.
And there were other hail reports with those storms last night. All we ask that if you do happen to get hail at your place, we love to see the pictures. And it doesn't matter if it's the smooth kind or the spiky kind. We'll take your hail pictures. Just compare it to something. Well, this is cell phone sized hail. Text 501-376-1111 or, Nathan,
Let's go to Storm Track 11 because we are looking for your reports on Facebook, and here's the best way to get those reports to us. You have to join the THV 11 Weather Reporters page. And this page, it is a group that you have to be approved to join. Now, what I mean by that is you have to live in Arkansas. We are trying to keep this as local as possible and try to keep the spam out as well, because when you have a public page, you can get a lot of junk that tries to come in, and we're trying to police that as much as possible. But we want to get your reports. We can look at the radar and say there's hail likely in this region, but we don't know if it's necessarily a lot of hail or big hail, because the radar can't depict the difference on that. So your reports are valuable, and if you are a true weather enthusiast, you need to go ahead and join this page, THV11 Weather Reporters page. We're going to be taking a look at that anytime we go through a severe weather event to see what's happening in your neighborhood.
And we do appreciate your reports, even if it's not hail, but safety is the first priority. Make sure that you and your family are safe after the storm passes. If you've got some wind damage at your house, take photos, send them our way as well, or put them on the THV11 Weather Reporters page. Severe aspect is there, also flooding. The National Weather Service has placed about the northwestern third of the state under a flash flood watch. There are signs that some places could pick up 3, 4, 5 inches of rain with these storms tonight. They will be very productive in the rainfall category.
Yeah, smaller creeks and streams, those typical trouble areas that you have to cross a small stream to maybe get to your location, they will be susceptible to maybe significant flooding out there later today into tonight. So watch out for that. Poor drainage areas, low-lying areas, and of course, you never want to travel through floodwaters, especially if those floodwaters are moving, because it does not take much water to go ahead and lift your vehicle and send it downstream.
The safe thing to do is to get home before the storms occur and just ride it out. And I know sometimes people, well, you guys said it was going to do this and it didn't. Well, I practiced I'd rather be safe than sorry.
And
I would not like to get on the road.
We're approaching Memorial Day weekend.
Yep.
People probably camping. So hopefully they do have a no weather radio, because when you're camping, you don't have a cell phone signal.
No.
And when you have an event like this, flash flooding can occur quickly for any of those smaller creeks or streams. That includes the Buffalo River. That includes the Little Missouri River down through Albert Pike. So hopefully, if your friends and family are planning to do some camping, that they know about this situation that we've been talking about over the past several days. We've been telling you there's a possibility of strong to severe thunderstorms. I know we're all tired of it, but we still have to get the information out there.
So have as many ways as you can to receive severe weather information. I was asleep at Sunday morning at 4:30 when I got a call from Weather Call alerting me that a severe thunderstorm watch had been issued. I proceeded to get up and start tracking strong thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms, as they move through the river valley into central Arkansas. Weather Call's another way, and this is very beneficial. Like I just said, while you're sleeping, it's going to call your phone or your home phone. All you have to do is text the word call to 501-376-1111 for more information about this service. It is a paid service. It's about $1 a month. I know a lot of you out there throw more than that at some of the game apps that you play. This one's actually beneficial and is going to save your life. If there's a severe thunderstorm warning, let's say it's only in western Pulaski County, in that little polygon, it's only going to call you and your neighbors. It's not going to call folks outside of that box. Again, beneficial for sleep, maybe beneficial if you're up in the RV on the Buffalo River. Is that what you're doing this weekend?
I would love to do that. I don't have an RV though.
Well, it'd be nice to have. All right, I do want to go, before I digress, let's go back to radar one more time. As it is currently, as of 3 o'clock, and we're going to send it back to our THV 11 Plus programming, there are no storms in Arkansas. I need something to knock on, but there aren't any of concern. There might be a few showers that pop up, but we are keeping a close eye on what's happening in Oklahoma.
We don't have any mesoscale discussions across Arkansas at this time, so that's good news, because that's usually a precursor of when they're going to issue a watch. We still have a watch issued for Northwest Arkansas, so if you're still traveling in that direction or have plans to travel in that direction, please be careful and make sure that you are staying tuned, have your weather notifications turned on your cell phone. you can pretty much have your weather app or our app follow you as you travel. As long as you allow the GPS notification, that will warn you if you are in Central Arkansas, if you're traveling into Oklahoma. If you don't want to do that, at least make sure you're listening to the local radio station, because that is another way to get warnings as well if you are traveling. I think the one thing that we need to talk about, Tom, is, a lot of people here in Arkansas, here in the Mid-South, we've been through tornado warnings. Nothing's ever happened. And we get desensitized to that situation. You hear the sirens, oh, we're under tornado warning, it's going to miss us. And I'm sure a lot of people probably thought about that in Kentucky, London, Kentucky, because they have gone through several tornado warnings over the past several years. But what you want to remember, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much you've been through 100 tornado warnings, but it only takes one time where you get a direct hit that change your life forever. So you never want to write off a tornado warning and just say, nothing's going to happen. Let's not take shelter this time. These warnings are issued for a reason. They're issued because we are seeing rotation with the technology that we have these days, and especially when we say it's a confirmed tornado. That's when you definitely want to get to your safe place and take your tornado precautions. Don't go looking for it. I mean, so many people look for it unless you're in the middle of a field and you can see it maybe 10, 20 miles away. That's fine. But here in Little Rock, in a city, you don't want to go look for it because you may be looking the wrong direction.
True.
Or it may develop right on top of you.
And there's a lot of trees here, so at times you can't see what is coming directly at you. And I know it's one of those hobbies growing up. People would go out on the back porch and take a look up to see where it is. Don't do that. Y'all hit the safe place. Find the centermost part of your home, lowest level of your home. Don't get into an area where you've got lots of windows. The smaller area, the better. Put as many walls between you and the outside as you possibly can.
And know where to find yourself on a map. We can't call out every single town. We can't call out every single county. But the storms tonight most likely will move from the southwest to the northeast. So if we've got a cell that's going tornadic, say in Mena, and it's moving to the northeast, it's going to be approaching Scott County, Yell County, and eventually into Pope County. So the more that you know on where these storms are located according to your perspective, that's going to give you even more lead time than the actual tornado warning.
Yeah, so there's not much. There's one little cell north of Pulaski County that's southwest of Valonia. Could develop into something. We'll keep an eye on it. If there are any tornado warnings, we'll break into our programming on THV11, and Nathan and I will just stream on THV11 Plus until the threat is over. And once things get hopping this afternoon or this evening, whenever they do start, it'll probably continue into the early morning hours tomorrow morning.
And other ways to watch us when we are streaming on THV11, YouTube, and we'll be on Facebook with any tornado warning. So tell your friends and family, you got so many options to get potentially life-saving information, not just from linear TV, not just from THV11, because we know there's so many other platforms that many of the people watch and maybe not be watching TV at a certain time. We want to let you know, YouTube, the THV11 Plus streaming app, and then also Facebook.
Yeah, and if you're watching us on your phone, your app right now, and you have a Samsung TV at home that's a smart Samsung TV, the app is now available. The THV11 Plus app is available on your Samsung smart TVs as well as Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. All you have to do is add the app and you can start streaming. Well, it is 3:05. We have provided you with the necessary means of what you need to know for the rest of the day today. Everybody stay safe, and we will catch you at 5, 6, 6:30, and 10 o'clock tonight, although I do believe at least one or maybe two of those newscasts may be interrupted by weather here in Arkansas.
We'll see.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your afternoon, and we'll talk to you soon.